The northern sky had always glowed faintly above the kingdom of Vinterra, but on this night, the light trembled as if troubled by a distant grief. Young Lina, a village girl with a curious mind and a heart tuned to every shift in nature, stood outside her wooden cabin, watching the heavens ripple with an unusual hue of pale gold. She had seen countless winter lights before, dancing curtains of turquoise and blue, but never a star flickering so violently as though it were calling out. "It's the lost star," whispered her grandmother from the doorway, clutching her embroidered shawl. The older woman's voice trembled with a mixture of dread and familiarity. Lina had heard the name before, spoken only in hushed tones, but this was the first time she felt its meaning. Inside the cabin, the air warmed by pine-scented flames, Lina sat cross-legged near her grandmother, listening intently. The lost star, her grandmother explained, was no ordinary celestial light. It was a source of ancient magic, tied to the Snow Queen herself, the guardian of winter's balance. "If the star dims," Grandma said, lowering her voice as though winter spirits might be listening, "the Snow Queen's power weakens. And when her power weakens, the world suffers." Lina's heart tightened. She had grown up on tales of the Snow Queen, not as a cold and distant figure, but as a protector who kept storms gentle and snow harmless. The idea of her losing strength felt like hearing that the mountains themselves might crumble. As the wind howled harder against the cabin walls, the village meeting bell rang. Lina and her grandmother wrapped themselves in thick fur cloaks and hurried across the snow-covered square. Every villager, from hunters to craftsmen, had gathered under lantern light, their breaths fogging the air. The village elder, an elderly man with frost-gray eyebrows, raised a trembling hand. "Tonight," he announced, "the Snow Queen's signal has reached even our distant valley. The lost star is weakening. If it vanishes entirely, an age of storms will descend upon the land." Murmurs surged like a rising blizzard among the villagers. Panic shimmered in their eyes, but beneath it, Lina felt something else, an unfamiliar anticipation, a tugging sensation inside her chest as if the sky itself were urging her to listen. Later that night, unable to sleep, Lina slipped outside again. The wind was biting but strangely gentle, weaving around her like a guiding presence. The lost star flickered brighter for a moment, then dimmed as though gasping for breath. Suddenly, a beam of pale light shot downward, landing at the far end of the frozen lake. Lina gasped, but felt no fear, only an overwhelming certainty that it was meant for her. She followed the shimmering trail across the ice, her boots cracking frost with every step. When she reached the center of the lake, the light gathered in front of her, swirling like frost caught in a spell. It took shape, a snow-white fox with crystalline blue eyes. The creature bowed its head, and a voice echoed inside her mind, "The Queen needs you." Lina staggered back, breath caught in her throat. The fox stepped closer, its fur glowing with threads of starlight. I don't understand," she whispered, though the certainty inside her only grew stronger. The fox nudged a small, shimmering shard toward her, a fragment of the lost star, pulsing weakly. "The Queen's realm is fading. She can no longer reach the mortal world herself," the voice continued gently. "But you can follow the path she cannot." The lake beneath them glowed faintly as though listening. Lina looked at the fragment in her hand and felt a warmth that defied the bitter cold. She knew at that moment her life would never again be ordinary. The journey to uncover the truth behind the lost star and to save the Snow Queen herself had begun. Lina didn't return home until the first hues of dawn lightened the horizon. The snow-white fox walked beside her in silence, its paws leaving faint trails of shimmering frost on the ground. When she stepped into the cabin, her grandmother was awake, sitting stiffly by the fire as though she had never slept. Her eyes widened the moment she saw the fox. "A frostbound messenger," she whispered, pressing a hand over her heart. Lina explained everything, the lost star fragment, the voice, the Snow Queen's plea. Instead of disbelief, her grandmother's reaction was one of solemn acceptance. "The Queen would not have sent a messenger unless the danger was dire," she murmured. "And if it chose you, Then your path has been written into this winter long before tonight. By midday, the village elders had gathered again, this time behind closed doors inside the old meeting hall. Lina was invited inside, guided by the glowing fox. The room smelled of pine resin and old parchment, its walls hung with tapestries depicting ancient winter myths. The elder leaned forward, eyes sharp despite his age. "The star fragment you carry," he said, "is the last living connection to the Snow Queen's realm. If it fades completely, the portal to her world will close forever." Lina felt a chill stronger than the winter air. "I have to bring it back to her, don't I?" she asked. The elder nodded. "But the journey is perilous. You must cross the Frostwind tundra, reach the Crystal Pass, and enter the Queen's realm through the Gate of Shards." His words were heavy, as though carved from ice itself. Before Lina could respond, the fox lifted its head and spoke through the same telepathic whisper that had reached her mind on the frozen lake. "The Queen chose her because she is something no one else in this village carries." The elders exchanged uneasy glances. Lina's grandmother stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Lina's shoulder. "Her heart has never feared winter," she said softly. "Since she was a child, she walked out in the storms as if they were old friends." Lina blinked in surprise. She had never thought of this as anything special. Yet now, as she looked down at the star fragment glowing faintly in her palm, she felt a connection, a quiet, unwavering resilience that pulsed like a heartbeat. Preparations began immediately. Hunters crafted insulated packs filled with dried berries, smoked meat, and warm furs. The blacksmith hammered out a light but sturdy staff for Lina, its tip carved in the shape of a snowflake, a symbol of guidance. Meanwhile, the Frostbound Messenger paced outside the cabin, its tail flickering like a comet's trail. When evening fell, the sky shifted again. The golden light of the lost star dimmed even further, becoming barely more than a trembling spark. Villagers looked up with pleading expressions, as if hoping their collective fear might somehow keep the light alive. Lina felt the urgency press against her ribs. She was no longer just a curious village girl. She was now the bearer of winter's fading hope. On the night before her departure, Lina stood on the edge of the village, gazing across the yawning expanse of the Frostwind tundra. The land stretched endlessly, its snow dunes glowing under the moonlight like frozen waves. The fox joined her, its presence calm and steady. "Will the Queen survive until we reach her?" Lina asked quietly. The fox's eyes shimmered. "If you keep the fragment alive with your courage, she will endure." It nudged her hand gently. "But we must leave at first light. The tundra is changing." Lina nodded, her heart pounding with equal parts fear and determination. She tightened her cloak, gripping her new staff. What lay beyond the tundra was unknown, but the path chosen by the Snow Queen herself was already unfolding, and Lina was ready to follow it into whatever mysteries awaited. At dawn, the sky blushed pale blue, and the first rays of sunlight glinted off the endless sheets of snow. Lina took one last look at her village, smoke drifting from chimneys, tiny footprints from early risers crossing the square, the comforting glow of lanterns still hanging near doorways. Her grandmother hugged her tightly, pressing a small woven charm into her hand. "For warmth when the cold grows unkind," she whispered. Lina tucked it safely inside her cloak before turning toward the vast tundra. The Frostbound Messenger trotted ahead, leaving a trail of shimmering frost that sparkled like fallen stars. Lina stepped into the untouched snow, feeling the weight of her journey settle firmly on her shoulders. The Frostwind tundra was unlike anything she had imagined. It was not simply cold, it was a living beast of wind and white silence. Snowstorms rose and fell without warning, swirling pillars of frost shifting like enormous spirits. The ground crackled beneath her feet, occasionally revealing crystal-like sheets of ice that reflected the sky like a mirror. Lina held the star fragment tight against her chest, feeling its gentle thrum. Whenever the wind grew harsh, the fragment pulsed brighter, almost guiding her steps. "The land listens to the Queen's magic," the fox explained in its soft, telepathic voice. "Even fading, her power shields those she trusts." Lina felt a strange comfort in those words. Hours passed, and the tundra began to change. Snow dunes grew taller, forming ridges that cast long, jagged shadows. A faint humming drifted through the air, at first so soft that Lina thought it was her imagination. But the closer they moved toward the mountain-lined horizon, the stronger it became, a low, rhythmic vibration like an enormous heartbeat buried beneath the ice. "What is that?" Lina whispered. The fox's ears lowered. "The tundra's breath," it replied. "Beneath this land lies ancient magic, the same source the queen drew upon in her earliest years. When the star dims, the land reacts." The humming pulsed stronger, as though warning them that time was slipping away. By late afternoon, the sky darkened unusually early. The golden lost star flickered weakly above the distant mountains, growing dimmer with every passing hour. Lina felt a wave of unease. The wind had changed, it now carried whispers, faint but unmistakable. She couldn't make out the words, but they chilled her deeper than the cold. It was as if the tundra itself was speaking, or warning. Suddenly, a deep crack echoed across the snowfield. The ground trembled beneath her boots. A fissure tore through the ice just ahead, sending shards glittering into the air. Lina stumbled backward, heart pounding. The fox sprang protectively in front of her, its fur glowing like a beacon. "We must move," it urged sharply. "The tundra is becoming unstable. The queen's weakening magic is unraveling old boundaries." As night fell, they reached the edge of a massive, glacier-carved canyon. Sharp, crystalline cliffs rose like frozen cathedrals, shimmering in moonlight. At the canyon's center lay a narrow bridge made entirely of translucent ice, thin, fragile, and suspended over a dizzying drop. Lina stared at it, fear prickling her spine. The fox stepped onto the bridge first, its paws barely making a sound. "This is the passage of echoes," it said. "Only those who carry truth in their hearts may cross. The ice remembers every footstep, every doubt, every lie." Lina took a deep breath. The star fragment glowed faintly in her hand, as if offering reassurance. With one final glance at the sky, where the lost star now flickered like a candle in its final moments, Lina stepped forward onto the fragile bridge, unaware that something unseen was already watching from the darkness below. Crossing the passage of echoes demanded not only courage but absolute stillness of heart. Every step Lina took sent ripples of pale blue light traveling beneath the ice, revealing memories her own. She saw flickering reflections of herself as a small child, running freely through winter fields, laughing at the cold. Another step revealed the moment she first felt powerless, standing helpless as a blizzard stole a traveler's path near her village. The memories were neither warnings nor threats, only reminders of who she had been and who she still was. Lina kept walking, her breath trembling in the frigid air. The bridge groaned under a sudden gust of wind, but she tightened her grip on the star fragment and pushed forward. Only when her foot touched the far side of the canyon did she dare to breathe again. The Frostbound Messenger landed beside her gracefully, its tail swirling with frost. "You crossed with truth," it murmured. "Few can." Lina managed a small smile, but her triumph was brief. Ahead of them, rising from the snowy valley, were towering crystal formations arranged in a sweeping arc, like a giant crown forged from ice. Some spires glimmered softly, humming with ancient magic, while others had darkened, their surfaces cracked like frozen tears. "The Crystal Pass," the fox announced, its voice tinged with sorrow. "Once, each shard shone with starfire. But the queen's fading power has dimmed them." Lina approached one of the darkened crystals and laid her hand against it. The surface was cold, lifeless, starkly different from the vibrant glow she had always imagined from stories. As they ventured deeper into the crystal pass, the air thickened with a strange tension. Faint whispers drifted between the crystal pillars, echoing the same tones Lina had heard in the tundra, fragments of forgotten voices, pleading, warning, remembering. Shadows flickered between the shards, slipping behind the pillars before Lina could fully glimpse them. "Something is here," she murmured, heart quickening. The fox tilted its head, ears rigid. "Not all shadows serve the queen. Some are pieces of magic unbound, fragments that broke free when the star began to fade." As if in response, one of the shadows darted across the snow in front of them, its form trembling like smoke trapped inside frost. Lina raised her staff instinctively. The fox growled, its fur pulsing with blue light. Suddenly, the dimmed crystals around them began to vibrate. A low, mournful sound rose from the ground, and the shadow coalesced into a tall, ghostly shape, vaguely humanoid, but hollow, with cracks of dark ice running through its body. Its voice echoed like shattering glass, star, broken. Queen, falling, Lina's breath hitched. The creature stepped closer, its movements jerky yet filled with a tragic desperation. The fox positioned itself in front of her. Be careful, it warned. These are echo wraiths, remnants of the Queen's guardians. They are not alive, but they remember pain. But when Lina looked into the wraith's empty eyes, she sensed not malice, but fear. Slowly, she lifted the star fragment, letting its light spill across the creature's cracked form. The wraith staggered as the light touched it. For a moment, its icy surface shimmered with a faint gold, the same hue as the lost star. It reached out, not to harm, but to plead. Lina felt its emotion wash through her, a sense of fading, of slipping into darkness, while desperately clinging to duty. The Queen is still alive, Lina said softly, her voice steady. I will reach her. I promise. The wraith's form brightened weakly, then dissolved into drifting snowflakes that glided upward into the shards above. The crystals around them flickered with renewed life, glowing faintly as though awakened by the spark of hope. The fox stepped forward, nodding. You eased its suffering. That is rare. Lina swallowed, her determination deepening. Ahead, at the far end of the glowing crystal crown, a massive archway of jagged, luminous ice rose, the gate of shards, pulsing with unstable light. The path to the Snow Queen's realm was finally before her, but the storm waiting on the other side was unlike anything she had ever imagined. The gate of shards pulsed with a frantic rhythm, as though the very magic holding it together were fighting against collapse. Lina stepped through with the Frostbound Messenger beside her, and the world changed instantly. Gone was the snow-covered valley. In its place stretched a breathtaking expanse of shimmering frost plains beneath a sky lit by swirling streams of silver and pale gold. Yet the beauty was wounded, cracks cut through the sky like lightning frozen in place, and pieces of starlight drifted downward as though falling from a broken heavens. At the center of the realm stood an immense palace sculpted entirely from blue-white ice, its spires dimmed and trembling. Lina felt her breath catch. The Snow Queen's world was unraveling. As they approached the palace, the temperature dropped sharply, colder than anything Lina had felt even on the tundra. The massive doors, once shimmering with icy enchantments, sat slightly ajar, weakened. Inside, grand halls that should have glowed like crystal cathedrals now flickered with unstable magic. Frost vines crawled up the pillars, spreading like cracks across the walls. Lina walked with a mixture of awe and urgency, her boots echoing on the crystalline floors. At last, she reached the throne chamber. It was quieter than silence itself. And there, sitting upon a throne sculpted of swirling frost and stardust, was the Snow Queen. The queen's form was as graceful as the stories described, long silver hair cascading like moonlit waterfalls, skin glowing with the faintest touch of frost, eyes the color of winter skies. But she was fading. Her body shimmered inconsistently, as though she were caught between existence and nothingness. You came, the queen whispered, her voice fragile like the edge of breaking ice. Lina stepped forward, holding the star fragment tightly to her chest. I will return this to you, she said, though her voice wavered with emotion. The Snow Queen raised a trembling hand. It is not mine to take back, not fully. A star once shared cannot be reclaimed, only renewed. Her gaze softened. But you carry the warmth of belief. That is the light I need. Before Lina fully understood, the palace shuddered violently. The lost star, visible now through the cracked sky, dimmed to a final flicker. The Frostbound Messenger barked urgently. There is no time, it called. Lina moved closer, raising the fragment. The queen placed her hand over Lina's, guiding it toward her heart. A brilliant glow burst from the shard, expanding outward in swirling waves of gold and white. Lina felt a sudden heat, warm enough to chase away all winter's cold, spreading through her chest and into the shard. It pulsed once, twice, and then exploded into rays that wrapped around the queen like a cocoon of living light. The palace roared as the magic surged. Lina closed her eyes, not from fear, but from a sense of being part of something immense and ancient. When the light faded, the chamber fell silent. The cracks in the walls had sealed. The air shimmered with newfound strength. And standing before Lina, radiant, steady, powerful once more, was the Snow Queen. Her eyes glowed with renewed starlight. "You have returned balance," she said softly. "Not because you carried the star, but because you carried hope." She extended a hand. Lina felt warmth, true warmth, spread from the queen's touch. "Your heart kept the last fragment alive." Outside, the sky mended, the lost star blazing brightly once more. The queen opened a portal of swirling frost, leading back to the mortal world. "Your courage has earned you a place in the stories of winter. But your life belongs to your world. Go home, Lina." With the fox by her side, Lina stepped through, returning to her village beneath a sky that now shone with a star reborn. Winter had been saved, and Lina's name would echo forever in the realms of frost and starlight.